one of the most beautiful areas in Wisconsin. You're gonna go through it with these massive towers.
Yes, so the overhead solution, I understand your perspective.
Do these have lights on them?
It depends on the heights.
You don't know how tall they are?
I can tell you that the only structures that are at risk of needing to have lights would be the actual, any crossing structures around the river, just because those are required to, regardless of where they're at, there's a spacing distance that you have to have from the surface of the river that are driving.
How taller than the regular towers?
That are there now?
No, that you're proposing to put in.
It's going to be, that 150 to 199 range.
200 feet.
Yep, and they would fall within that range.
Scale, though. You're calling this 140 feet, and this, this is not the scale. These things are huge. Yeah. I find the whole thing is kind of ridiculous. You from here, you'd be able to see that for miles. You'd be able to see it for miles in either direction from any ridge in this entire area.
Yeah.
The curvature of the earth is what, 8 inches per mile?
Sounds right.
I mean, you can't even see the ones that are there now.
So
you would be able to see these things circling through out into the distance for many, many miles.
As a frame of reference, the current crossing structures are 195.
These wooden ones right out here?
The structures that cross the Mississippi River right now.
Yeah, that's the Mississippi River, the ones that are right out here.
Yeah, those will be in the 80-foot range.
What's that?
They will be in the 80-foot range.
Right, and
some a little bit taller.
Completely hidden by the trees.
I think we have some other questions. Go ahead.
I'm interested, because, you said that these have been around for 50 years, this specific technology, right? And so, one of the things with data centers and things that are going on here, my company's working with beer technology. We produce cooling equipment so that buried underground transmission lines can be utilized. Data centers are really revolutionizing what's going on here with transmission equipment. And has any of that been considered or looked at as, within the scope of this project? Because, in 5 years, when you're talking about building this actually might not be even a technology used at all. Especially because you talk about the eyesores and the people, all the things that people don't like is, so again, it's a Beer Technologies. It's a company that Microsoft gave $500 million to go play with, right? And that's corporations, right? That can do that. They're one of them, right? And they're not just that superconducting processes where you have to keep it cool. We're developing a solution with them to actually utilize it and put it in the process. It's not a theory anymore. Has any of that technology?
Yeah, so liquid cooled there is some legacy technology that does exist. Answering your question directly, we are always, at least my team and a greater organization is always investigating innovative technology to provide a solution. Totally validating what this gentleman has identified in terms of the size and magnitude of structures, but the net environmental impact of a buried solution, I think, is dramatically more just based on what you have to do to the earth to get that infrastructure in the ground. And so we table that. What you're talking about is the heat rejection requirements of a buried infrastructure. And so it's like, how can you minimize that impact by having innovative technology
or even above ground, still insulates so that it reduces or increases your efficiencies and everything else like that, being that it's superconductor, right? It reduces line size and your structure reduces because you have less weight, you have less.
Yeah, so the operating temperature is a component into your conductor selection, and that is typically informed by, so the less heat rejection capability, the bigger the conductor, right, as you were alluding to. On the overhead side of things, that's not the main parameter driving much of the scope and scale of it. Underground, if there was a really innovative and efficient way to have this liquid-cooled system, I think that sounds real. I'm a mechanical engineer. It sounds awesome. Like I would love to think about that personally. But I can tell you from like a constructability perspective, and this is a project that does have a cost profile that we have to be mindful to. And so, in my experience, when we look at an overhead solution as compared to a trench type solution, depending on what that design looks like and the thermal rejection capability of the earth that the trenches are going through, and the terrain and how many horizontal directional drills do you have to do, it's a heck of an operation. You start seeing an order of magnitude being added to that cost per unit T line. And so what does that look like at scale? You start seeing the economics of a project no longer make sense, just viewing it through the lens of the ratepayers that are recovering that cost. So to your, that's something that keep an eye on, but I'm not aware of technology right now that makes it feasible at the 765 voltage level, kV level.
There was a question back here.
So this meeting is specific to the town of Genoa and town of Wheatland. I'm just wondering, how many homes have been identified, possibly too close to the line or under the,
So there are a number of structures that are relatively close to the line, but we are taking some, we're kind of looking at how we're siting the line to make shifts, and we make them kind of gradually just to limit the cost, because every time you have any kind of angle in the line, it adds a significant amount of cost. So that's one of the things that we're looking at, is getting away from those spots wherever we're able to. So at this time, I have not seen any, and I think you're asking about a relocation, is that correct?
either way.
Oh,
I mean, just like how many homes would be too close, either for your comfort or for the comfort of the homeowner?
sure, so
I mean, okay, if you know specifically a home that's gonna be taken, or however you wanna say it.
right, so the relocation requirements are generally gonna be limited to structures within the easement itself, or that would be within what's called the blowout area. And that's just like, in a storm, the middle of the span, that's where the wires blow out the most. That's one of the things, among others, that drives the width of the easement. So at this time, for what we've seen, I don't know of any definite relocations. It's based on those criteria.
You're saying no properties with no homes, no dwellings, no buildings, nothing would be removed?
I'm not saying that, I said homes. So in terms of like outbuildings or something like that, that could be a possibility. None are coming to mind right now that are a definite. But that's also part of this process and how we are early on in it. So I would never say never, but I don't know of any.
And would you consider a house or a dwelling that's impeding or too close to the power line? Is it right below the lines, or is it only where they hit the ground? Like, what's your criteria for calling something too close?
Sure, so within the easement